Queens photographer Kevin Goggin knows what it's like to be disenfranchised. In 2018, he voted with an affidavit ballot.
I'm a very cautionary tale.
But that ballot got rejected on a technicality, even though it was a primary election for Democrats. And Kevin is a Democrat. He forgot to write the word Democrat, so his affidavit got tossed.
You just assume that, voting's a right and that it should be, in theory, easy.
But it turns out more than 4 in 10 affidavit ballots got rejected in New York State last presidential election. This year, a federal judge in a voting rights case found the root of this problem is inaccurate address data from the United States Postal Service that often forces people to vote by affidavit when they shouldn't have to.
There's just more steps that you can get wrong that could cause your ballot not to count.
Professor Mark Meredith is a University of Pennsylvania elections expert who estimated more than 35,000 New York voters were disenfranchised because of address mix-ups in 2016. He worries we could see even more affidavit ballots and hence more rejections this year because mail-in voting is an unfamiliar process.
One reason you might see people casting affidavit ballots this time around is they requested the mail ballot, but they never got that mail ballot. I think this might be a circumstance that New York hasn't dealt with much before.
Already, New York City has seen vote-by-mail hiccups. Last month, an elections vendor sent out more than 100,000 absentee ballots with mismatched names and addresses, roiling Mayor de Blasio.
It's appalling. I don't know how many times we're going to see the same thing happen at the Board of Elections and be surprised.
When asked if city voters should trust city elections managers given the illegal purging of 200,000 voters 4 years ago, Board of Elections Chief Michael Ryan dismissed the question entirely.
This question is so dated that it is entirely irrelevant to this election.
But in that voting rights case, Ryan blamed the purging problems mostly on the post office, testifying he's very concerned for the voters on the quality of information that we get from the post office, and the city board met with representatives from the Postal Service to fix these problems, but had little success. The I-team reached out, but we haven't heard back from the post office. Kevin Goggin is more confident his vote will count this time, partly because of new legislation that just passed in Albany. It makes it harder to toss affidavit ballots because of technicalities.
All these invalidated affidavit ballots chip away at the process, that it makes people less likely to want to vote.